all about. I like that we're chomping at the fret. Calling me out for being a couple minutes late. Well, guess who was building this groove? Making sure that it moves for you. Let's get after it now. Come on, gang. Let's start with something crazy. Happy Saturday. Good on you for being here. We'll get into a proper warm-up, but let's just do something kooky right now. See if you can do a nice, steady first string. Just playing on the 10th fret. Come on, my knees hurt, my brain hurts. Max, the winner of the golden ticket. If you know, you know. Max, you might want to check that typo there, unless that's what you intended. Yes, it's an open jam today. We're going to get into arpeggios. Can you move this now back and forth between just a D, nice and relaxed, TT in the house, down to C. I'm streaming on vertical, I'm streaming on horizontal, I'm streaming on the Facebook. If you're watching me on the Facebook, let me know, say hello. If you're watching this in the future, say hello anyway to yourself and your stuffed animals. Okay, so we're playing D, down to C. It has much less to do with like notes and names and all that. We're just trying to have a nice, steady. Oh yeah. Play a D major. The top 4 strings of a D major, then down to a C major. This is great, this is fun, this is easy. We got this. I'm playing through the John Mayer Archetype X right now, by the way. I bought it, I did the trial, and I decided to buy it, because, you know, it's fun. Sounds great, right? Right. Now just strum that and then spell it out. This creates like a nice dreamy sort of endless summer vibe. Make it sparkle. Strum and then pluck those notes out. Strum through and then go. And if you're like, wait, where are those shapes coming from? You know these chords. Imagine the entire full bar chord, right? There we go. I like that idea, the cheat sheet. AJ in the house. Glad to have some of our friends from across the pond be able to join us live on these earlier editions. Still the evening for them. So what we're doing when we strum these chords and then we pluck out the individual strings, word of the day, we are arpeggiating, which just basically means we're laying out the cards one card at a time, right? If we wanted to do some other things, that's fun. We'll get into that kind of stuff, or these arpeggios are ready to roll when you are. So we're going to get into that, but before we do, we'll do a proper warm-up. How are you? Tell me where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first stream, let us know, because these are the Saturday jams where we all get together. A bunch of my members show up. This is the topic that we've been kicking booty on all week, which is arpeggios. Whoa, what a way to start the new year, right? It's been a lot of fun. I think people have had many a light bulb moment with just realizing like, oh, these are like glue that connect the chords and the fills and the scales, and they get you kind of leapfrogging across the fretboard in a way that is actually pretty logical, very logical. And to the outside observer, it might seem like, hey, what did you have for breakfast? Because suddenly you're able to play and leap across. You can do it slow and it'll sound great too. And so we're going to build it nice and easy. But to get our juice is flowing, let's make sure that we can name the notes. Not every single note of the fretboard, but we'll see. Let's see. I think I have, yeah. So this little sequence here that we're about to do goes through all 12 notes. So in fact, we are going to do all 12 notes. And it's just simply a game of Root name recall. We do this a lot, and we often find the notes down here on the 5th and the 6th string, because that's where we usually start with, like, finding the notes that build chords, right? That is good, but I think we all want to try to know more of where the notes are on the fretboard. So use this as a chance to see if you can find some other spots where you could name the notes. You'll see the idea. So for a bar or two, a measure or two, there'll be C playing, just a droning C bass note. And if you go and find your C on the 6th string or your C on the 5th string, where else could you find it before the music moves along? Okay, so this is the idea. It's going to be a little bit slower than what we were just doing. That's nice. Oh, from the UP, we love our Upers. I go up to the UP the last couple of years we've been up there, up on Lake Superior. My lovely lady and I, we borrow the family's mini Winnebago, and we just love it up there. Got a lot of friends and family. We hang out in Charlevoix, we hang out in East Tawas, and then we head up north to fight off the horseflies. It's good. Here we go. We're playing C. C. Find another C if you can. The official warm-up has begun. Now we've got F. Find as many Fs as you can. And we got B flat coming up. If you can just find them on the 6th string, that's fine. E flat. Where's E flat? Okay. Do your best. A flat or G sharp. Oh. D flat or C sharp. F sharp. Find the F sharp. B as in booyah. Don't forget the open B. E as in Edgar Allan Poe. A. D. D plus. I got a D plus. Herbie Hancock. Okay, G. C. We're doing C again. We come all the way back around. F. You might start to recognize this pattern. You might already know it. B flat. Don't B flat if you're in choir. E flat. A flat. C sharp or D flat. F sharp. Just do what you can. B, you might just be fine in one spot. That's groovy. E. A. D. Oh, extra. Free of charge. G. We'll go through one more time here. Now I just want you to play a chord. Play a C major chord. Okay? Play an F major chord. Play a B flat major chord. Could you play it in 2 different spots? You know what I mean? Try to find it in 2 spots. E flat. Major. Let's switch to minor. Let's go A flat minor. A flat minor. Could I play it? Great. Okay, how about D flat or C sharp minor? F sharp minor. B, let's switch back to major for B. In fact, let's make these 7 chords, like a B7, right? E7. That's fun. A7. D7, just a couple more. D7. Let's go G7 now. Big finale on C. Woo-wee, gang. How did that treat you? How did that go? Let me know if you're watching on the horizontal YouTube. We are on horizontal YouTube. It's a different listing and a link, so I don't know wherever you get notified that I'm going live, go there, and I'm sure it's just fine. So we've got our vertical, our horizontal over there on the Facebook. Let us know if you're watching. Oh, I see that we got Andy, Louisiana in the house. Greg, all the way from Malta. You know who's based in Malta is my friend Rob Chapman, amazing YouTube impresario of all the good things and great guitar player. Understatement of the year thus far. Charlie, how you doing? First time from Ohio. We love Ohio. You know, I'm going to be marrying a girl from Ohio this upcoming May 1st. So I'm all right with Ohio. Been spent my Christmas there, up there near Canton. What up, Bob from Cambridge, UK? So I'm reading the comments over on Facebook, and then up here on the screen, what do we got? What do we got over here? If you have any questions along the way, ask me. We're going to settle in. We're going to get stuck in, as the Brits say, and we're going to be rocking on these arpeggios in a little bit here over the next, 45 minutes or so, give or take, seeing how things are going, right? I'm just trying to expand the comments here so I can see it. How many of you have experience with playing arpeggios? Have you played them before? Have you, other than rocking this week with me? And how would you describe, if someone was brand new to it, how would you describe to them like what they are and how you play them, right? Because we're gonna break it down and get a little bit of our understanding of what they are as we get them. Most importantly, getting like underneath our fingers. So one little bit of our warm up I want us to do now to get our fingers all working, all pistons firing, because we need to get the pinky involved. And if you haven't been using the pinky much, this is going to be a great way for you to like gently get it in the game. I sort of joke about like the pinky gets to sort of sit on the sidelines, riding the pine, as they say in basketball. And it's like we got to get the pinky jumping out of its tracksuit and out on the floor, shaking it, don't breaking it, out on the floor. So one thing that I'll say right off the top that is going to save you a lot of aching and may actually cure some of the pain you might be feeling if you have any sort of frustrating cramping in your hand is, watch this. The difference between, as I go to play these notes, you notice what happens right there? If you feel like you have to stretch your pinky out and it's stepping, the pinky is on its tippy toes and it's stretching out and flattening out, and if it's squashing and it's not getting there and it's sometimes just sort of screwing the sound up, the problem I will identify here for you. You just got to bring your elbow into your body. Watch what happens. When I bring my elbow into my body, the hand rotates. And this is just a way to get your hand to turn up this way to get your pinky closer to the destination. This is a good hand positioning, and I use that a lot for when I'm playing fills and licks and things like that. So it's not an either or, it's just a case by case. When you've got a situation where you need to get down to the lower strings, these lower, thicker strings with your pinky, get your pinky there so it can have a fighting chance, so that it can stay relaxed and curved. If you're flattening your pinky out, there's no way that you should be feeling cramping in your hand and the flattening out in order to get there. That means you're starting it too far away and you're trying to fight the laws of physics. So as we do this little warm up here, the idea is of course to play the notes and try to do it nice and clean. We want to be nice and clean and steady, but most of all, try to see if you can help your pinky out and get it in position to win, because this is what we're going to be needing when we get into these arpeggios. You've got to have your pinky ready to stay relaxed and in position to just press down, as opposed to stretching and hoping and praying. Okay, here we go. We got this little beat. Hope you got your guitar, because we're going to be playing some guitar right about now. Let's do it. Thank you, Nate. And thanks everyone for being here. Let's have some fun. Okay, so we're just going to go real slow. All the way up and all the way down. Just keep on going. This is a chromatic scale, and part of what makes this a little bit trickier than it appears is that you have to hit those open strings. Keep going, just continuous. Right? Yeah, my start times on these Saturday streams is totally up to me. I'm out here living my life, sometimes waking up a little late with pixie dust in my eyes and trying to figure out the day. Sometimes I don't even do it at all. Couple more times. that pinky should just be nice and relaxed. You notice that my hand rotates a bit as I do this. So as I'm down here at the bottom, it's a little more angled. I'm exaggerating here. And then I rotate it up to get the pinky there so that it doesn't have to lay across the train tracks and beg for mercy. There we go. That's just a good way to make sure that you're getting the fingers moving. Let's get into this arpeggio action. I'm going to give you a preview of this track that we're going to play over, and then we're going to break it down piece by piece. If I were to ask you off the top, what are the 3 notes that would make up an A major chord, right? We're just thinking an A major chord, and explain it to me if you want in terms of the letter names. Explain it to me if you want in terms of the numbers. Yeah, so Royal YouTube Pro saying 1, 3, 5. Those are the intervals. That's great. I love that. That's universal. So let's just have a little bit of chalkboard talk here, and then we'll get into spelling these shapes out, right? So if we have an A major chord, all major chords are going to have a 1, a major third, and a 5. 1, 3, 5. That's why we say that shorthand. For an A in particular, it's going to have an A, a C sharp, and an E. And if you're like, well, I don't do numbers and letters, it's like, okay, well, one day you will have to. But for now, you can absolutely have my full blessing and permission to just get really good at playing this shape. And just knowing that that is your recipe on guitar to be able to have a shape that you can move around. Great, so we'll kill the track here for a second. And what we do right here, let's just play this nice and slow, low to high. And what you'll notice right away is that my hand positioning really matters here. I'm not starting this low note with my index finger, because that would be how I would hold, let's say, that bar chord. But today, we're breaking that pattern a bit. If you're always used to doing this, I would not want you to be doing that and then hopping back to play that note. Please don't try to use that index finger to do that. You're going to need to have your second finger, your middle finger right there on that root note. So that's 1, 3, 5, and then I added another root up there. So it gives us this nice sort of like all the way up and all the way back down. Boom, bum, boom, bum, 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 boom. Okay, let's try this. I'll just sort of do the foot thump here. That's what you have over there on that sort of dark, moody camera there. Boom, boom. So that's what we're going to do. Join me on this. And we'll take a breather after we do that. 3, 4, and again, low to high. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, and again. Boom, 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 boom. Did this thing happen again where it's not going live on the? I think I was. Do you guys see me, right? You see me on the horizontal? Do you see me on the vertical? I think I'm live, right? I think I thought I was live. Suddenly I was wondering if it was like Facebook stream is good. Okay. Do you guys I've been okay, so the horizontal or the vertical sees me. And now I'm realizing that on the horizontal, okay, it was not working. Everything on my side of it was saying that it was live. I clicked all the buttons to go live. And so now you're seeing me. Okay. They're waiting on another page. Let's just, before we go another step further, Facebook can see me. Yes, but the link from the app didn't work. Okay, see you now. Woo, there we go. Sorry, Andrew. Oh my gosh, I was having the best time in the world talking to y'all. And I swear I was saying go live. It wasn't saying go live. It was saying that I was live. But I can see now that it would appear as if I've only been live for the last minute. And oh boy, I've been cooking for about 20 minutes. Thanks for hanging around. So very sorry for that confusion. I hope that I'll get better at this one day. I did mash all the buttons on my side of it, and it did seem like it was healthy. But regardless, for those that are my members, which is most of the people that are watching on the horizontal, you know what we're doing right now. And if you're watching, I won't go back to the top. We're just going to slowly dive into this arpeggio workout together. So for my members, you know that what we have on the board right here is 1, 3, 5, 1 for an A major, right? 1, 3, 5, 1. So 1, 3, 5, 1, and then right on back down is what we're going to do. So A, C sharp, E, A, E. And when I switch between saying letters and numbers, do not freak out. I'm just demonstrating that there's many ways that we can learn and use information to actually get to a musical destination. And eventually, if you stick with this, you are going to have that knowledge of specifically knowing what the letters are, which would be A, C sharp, E, and A. Knowing what the intervals are, and that gives you that universal quality to move it around. And then knowing what the shape is so that you can just comfortably play this and have your instrument tuned in to your muscle memory, right? So I'm live on Facebook. That's good. I'm glad I'm finally live on horizontal. So sorry, my YouTube friends. Great. So that's groovy. What if we were to add to this, and this is what we were doing this week, a whole bunch, this shape right here. What I get excited about with this is that this is going to get us making a transition between playing a bit of a low arpeggio, which is what this is, 1, 3, 5, and then landing right there. You can see that's the top 4 strings of an A bar chord. And within that, just so you know, you might be saying, well, that's a triad. Well, is it 2 triads? Yeah, it is. 1, 3, 5, and then 3, 5, 1. So you have a lot of overlap of these things that you might be practicing separately. Like, oh, maybe you're working on triads. I do tons of videos about triads. In fact, my community knows all about it. My community is amazing. You get 2 weeks to try everything free. You better believe I want you to come and join us. We did a whole week of workouts on this week, and we're always rocking triads, and we want you to rock it and just totally do it for free. And then you stick around if you like it. It's as simple as that. You don't pay if you don't stay. So triads are there. Bar chord is there. Scales are there. Arpeggios are there. Arpeggios are like taking smaller bites out of the full scale. And in particular, in this case, we're playing just the chord tones. So they become like ultra useful to find that, like, if you're going to put in the work to understand what's happening right here, when you're in the position to play like stuff over A major, why not have as much as you can overlapped? It's just a matter of being able to like play it when you need it. So for example, if I was playing along with this little pattern right here, and this is where we're going to head next, I'll do. So I'm moving around a chord progression, and I'm basically just playing a game of, can I play an arpeggio and then do a triad? And I could switch it around. Just create really nice, interesting parts, like guitar parts that could be a great way to sort of vibe out and move with the changes without always just playing the same stuff. Mike, do you pronounce your last name like Meacham or Metcham? I don't know how you would say that, respond to that phonetically, but Mike was the recent winner of our Dare to Share challenge for December. Way to go, Mike. He wrote an amazing melody to a backing track. Every month we do a challenge, and it's just for fun, but it gives you a good excuse to like post a video of your playing, and then there's usually some merch at stake, some freebies and some prizes. So it's a good time, and Mike was the, I wouldn't say lucky winner, because he was voted upon by his peers this time around. We did an actual vote for it, which was really fun. And everybody who entered did a great job. It was amazing to see everybody's playing come together. So what I'm going to do now is just take this chord progression and simplify it. I'll shorten it through the power of Ableton Live over here. For those of you that can see, I've switched over to that screen. And we're just going to go back and forth between the first chord and the second chord. So the first chord is A. Can anyone tell me what you were hearing? What was the second chord? It went from A, and then it went down to hard K. So on the mic, yeah, okay. Well, I can say mic. I got the mic, but maybe I'll figure it out. I'll just keep saying it wrong until we'll give you a nickname. We got a lot of mics. We got a lot of good mics in the community. Okay, so this is what we're gonna jam over. Now it's just gonna go back and forth. Back and forth. It's like a slow jam version of Fire on the Mountain, right? For my deadheads. Awesome. Yeah. So your challenge is going to be to take this information that we have up on the board and realize that everything on guitar is movable. You've just got to make sure that you move it around until you got it down. You got to move it around till you got it down. So that shape right there, you've got to start to get acquainted with it and be like, okay, so when it goes to the G, I've just got to take everything that's happening here and move it down 2 frets. And down is always going to be down in pitch, down the neck. Even if the neck is up here, you're saying, I'm going up the neck. You're not going up the neck. You're going down the neck. At least in my school of thought. Oh my gosh. Instant karma. I got sassy and I unplugged my own guitar. Okay, so we're just going to go back and forth with this. And let's just start by playing the low arpeggio. And I think you'll dig it. Here we go, gang. So I'll sort of map it out. We'll walk through it. Here we go. Grab your guitar. Let's rock it. 2, 3, 4. Just do that, nice and slow. And then down to G, right? Back up. So we're going low to high, just playing the bottom 3 strings of this pattern, right? And the fingering doesn't matter exactly. You could be deciding to just use the 3rd finger for both of those. You could do what I'm doing, which is that I'm using the 3rd finger and then I'm switching to the pinky. Okay? Just whatever feels comfortable. Try to make it nice and smooth. Could we go high to low? So we're going to go... That's nice, right? It involves different kind of leaps though, right? So you got to get ready for your next destination, right? One more time through this, and then we'll spice it up even more. One more time. How about if we do alternating? I'll show you what I mean. So we'll start high, and then we'll stay low. That's kind of cool. Now we stay high. Get the idea? Then go low to high. One more time like that. High to low. And really try to connect those notes. If you're sounding like... See if you can make it more connected. Because that means that your fingers are relaxed. You're not squeezing and leaping. And... Let's switch it up. Low to high. And now stay high. Could you do that as a slide, right? You got to have enough sustain, right? Okay, quickly checking in. How is that going for y'all? Now that you've jumped in and found me and we found each other in the cyber universe, I always know that when there's a couple references. Reggie, by the way, the new puppy is amazing. He's doing a great job. And I love that people are already like, well, Reggie must have bit the USB cable. And that's why I know, wait a second, they can't see me. Is it working? Is it doing all right? It's doing Potato? Okay, good. Potato is another beloved dog that we miss and we love. So this is, by the way, yeah, sometimes I do the poll where it's the bar, the histogram. Other times I'm asking you to say in a word, how is that going? It's going dandy. It's going coolish. That's good. Coolish. Was that the guy who did the Gangsta's Paradise song? Been spending most of times living in a gangsta arpeggio paradise. Been spending most of times living in arpeggio paradise. Love it. Love it. Okay, good. Speaking of Lolly, we had to say farewell to Lolly a couple weeks ago. She was my sweetie. We were together for 13 years. Tony and Lolly and I, we were just like the power trio. So it's the end of an era. Potato we lost in October and had to say goodbye to her. That's my fiance's beloved long time bestie, doggy. And Reggie is now in our life. Well, there'll be more Reggie content headed your way. But as a tribute to Lolly, this is a song that she released, one of her singles that she released back in 2018. Check it out. This is Lolly from right here in Nashville, topping the charts.
Sometimes I like to get pet on my head. It's like my favorite thing to get. Don't matter what you did or you said, long as you come back and give me pets on your head, pets on your head.
a single. That was Pets on the Head by Lolly Longpaws from back in the day. And don't forget about Tony Boy. If you're just joining us, you're coming here at the right time. We got good things happening all the time. And very glad that you're here for the guitars, for the dogs, and all things in between. I do, as bittersweet as it is to say goodbye to these guys, and it's excruciating. I knew that day was coming, and the day has come. When the guitar friends in the community share pictures and stories about their beloved animal friends, family members, it is amazing. And it's been like such a great way for us to connect just as people. Genuinely, it's just sort of like, it reminds me that we're all softies and we all just love our family members and these guys and girls, these animals, these dogs and cats. And we've had people share stories about their chickens and things like that. And it's just a lot of sweet fun and it goes a long way to spreading the love. So our love of arpeggios pales by comparison, but at least we're trying. So let's see if we add to this now. Boo, ba, bum, boom. So we're going to give a little bit of a chord stab here. Before we get into this, let's look at these top 4 strings and just like see if we can get that kind of sound going where we strum through. And what's neat about this, as I may have alluded to, is that these particular notes for this top part of this bar chord, they happen to spell out an exact 1, 3, 5, 1 arpeggio, right? Arpeggios, that's a good one. I see you there, Sarah. That's smart. I love it. Okay, so going from low to high, if we just spell our way up this whole configuration here, we're playing a root, that's a 1. Then we're playing a major third, that's this note. We're playing a 5. And this kind of matters because if you're playing, I don't want to use the word strict because everyone freaks out like there's one right way to do it or not. But in the way that we're playing arpeggios right now, we're specifically going from the next chord tone to the next chord tone. So we're not skipping, we're not doing like a spread triad. We're doing like 1, 3, 5, which means the very next note has to be another 1, which has its own particular sound, which you'll just, you'll start to recognize, and it's really cool. So, and I added another 3 there because watch this. If we go 1, 3, 5, and you keep going, it goes 1, 3, 5, 1, and if you wanted to reach up there, that's pretty spicy. That full, like, that movement right there is so good for your fingers and your brain, and it if you did it all day, it would start to get repetitive, and it would sound a little bit like, as our friend Jeff Miller says, it sort of sounds like taps, like, or like, or it sounds a little bit like an exercise. That's fine. Yeah, exactly. Calf there with the song references. So we got this 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. You could play that nice and slow all the way up and down, and it'll be good for your dexterity. And what I'm getting at here is that you can jump off of that pattern in the middle of a song and land somewhere. So if I went, that little flourish there of that arpeggio could be something I work on like diligently to get it nice and smooth. And then I could do whatever. I could do my fills. You don't have to always run these things into the ground. But I do recommend that when you're practicing it, you kind of do want to like get it so the whole thing is clean, so that you can essentially, you learn something so you could play it everywhere, and then you don't play it everywhere. That is the essence of tasteful mastering your skills, so that if I wanted to go hog wild, I could be like, and maybe that sounds cool to other guitar players for a couple go-rounds, but even for us, it would get a little bit like, all right, so he's practicing, right? And that's fine. Let yourself absolutely nerd out on a concept and make it really good. And it's not necessarily music, but it'll sound musical, especially in my community, because this backing track is part of our jam tracks now. So we've got these nice sounding jam tracks that are like cool. They're just cool wallpaper that you can practice your moves, so that when it turns into be like a real song, you can have bits and pieces of all these things. That little detour was a way of saying that this top part of these, what you might see as like, oh, that's a chord. I play that when I play this, or I play a triad. Yeah, but if you spell it out, if you simply go ba, 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 you've just done an arpeggio, like, which is, look at you go. So let's try a little bit of this, where we're just trying to make these nice and clear so that we're not strumming it through. Because if you imagine, if you take a strum, like if you strum a chord, now if I slow it down, it suddenly starts to break it up into individual notes. And if I kind of squeeze and release those notes, you see how it's the exact same information, but it's the way we squeeze it that's going to allow those notes to be broken up. So let's try this. We're just going to be going back and forth between the A and the G, like we just were. And now we're just going to focus on the top 4 strings, okay? And we'll try to spell them out and arpeggiate them. Ready, gang? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that's too fast. How about we just go, just really clear. All right? So if you're holding the chord and you're letting it ring out, that's not bad, but that's a little bit like if you were playing piano and keeping your foot on the sustain pedal. Could you play it as individual notes? Okay, let's move through some of our variations here. We're gonna go high to low now. So Royal, we're actually not worried right now like what mode or what key we're in. If you wanted to know, I would consider us, if these were the only 2 chords we had, then yeah, I could think of this as like the 1 chord, and then this is the flat 7 major over here. I might think of it as the 5 chord and the 4 chord from the key of D. But for our context, we're just purely playing an A chord to a G chord. Great, groovy. So let's now combine that. Let's see if we can do boom, boom, boom. And this is where it gets to be fun. If it's not fun already, it's like, it's the gluing together 2 ideas. So we're gonna have this, we're gonna arpeggio, like spell out the low part. Boom, ba, boom, boom, tap. Boom, ba, boom, boom. Let's give it a whirl. 1, 2, just back and forth between A and G, and then we're going to get into the minor arpeggio side of town. Here we go. You keep going. You can play with your own patterns, but really try to keep it clean. In the groove. Oh, it's reading comments. I should have just been reading my musical instincts. Hey-o. Okay. Don't describe, just answer in the polls. Is that making sense? Is that working for you? You got it grooving. Are you playing this on, how many of you are playing this on acoustic, by the way? Because these things work really well on acoustic. This is like, sometimes there's certain things where it's like, oh, we're bending and we're trying to bend up a full step and a half or whatever. But this is going to be very acoustic friendly. Great. Okay. Then pop quiz hot shots. Let's look at what we have right here. Tell me, what would I do? What would I change about that to make it, instead of a major arpeggio, a minor arpeggio? Like, describe it in whatever terms you feel comfortable. How would I modify this to turn this, instead of an A major, turn it into an A minor? Fender Malibu. Oh, I don't know that one. Is that like sort of an acoustic electric hybrid? All right. John's on the acoustic. Flatten the third, flat the third, lower the third, lower the third. All right, let's do it. So we'll take this one right here. That's that major third. and we'll lower it. I'm sure you all meant just by a half step and just one fret. I'm assuming y'all got that down. So there's a major third right there. Now, you could do it back there. That creates a little bit of an awkward stretch, especially on these lower frets, right? To go all the way back there, and then you suddenly have to navigate leaping to that. So, which is why and I think most people would recommend grabbing the exact same note, but there. Right? This is part of why we understand where the notes are in multiple places. It's the flip side of guitar having, the same shapes as it. We have multiple spots where we could play the same note. So that starts to, and this is definitely where you want to turn your hand to make sure the pinky can get there. Don't sell yourself short and have the pinky be straining. You got to just turn your hand. So this starts to look very much like we're grabbing a good chunk of A minor pentatonic box 1. Makes sense. Let's try this. Let's just sort of spell this out nice and slow, and we'll do just the low part like we did with the as we began with the A major. So it'll be like bum, 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 bum. Join me, won't you? Dan Doak in the house. Me and Dan saw Guthrie Trap. I want to say the GT Trio, but it seems like they're going with they're spitballing with some different band names now. But it was great at the 5 spot here in Nashville. Their new Wednesday night residency there is off of the bank. Packed the place. I love it. It's right on my side of town. Great excuse to, just cruise on down there and catch some fantastic playing. And it, as fun as the Underdog was, 5 spot really sounds good. They got a nice PA system there. See, you could be doing this as you're practicing your arpeggio movements while you're watching, TV. If you're like me and you don't want to pay Netflix for the privilege of taking the ads away, sometimes you just mute the ads and play your arpeggios during those ad breaks, right? Ozzy in the house. Good to see you, Ozzy. Right, so we're just downloading that information into our muscle memory, so that if there's faster tempos, and if we have to move it around, like boom, 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 boom. Let's try that. Actually, we're gonna go A minor to G minor, same shape. We got to see if we can move it. 1, a little bit faster. 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. We'll do it twice. Now move it down to G minor. Boom, 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 boom. Right, it's a bit of a tongue twister, finger twister. Question about alternate picking? Yeah, I am mostly doing alternate picking, and we'll talk about that a little bit, because that does kind of come up quite a bit as far as a strategy here. Strategy on a Strat style guitar. When I hit a sequence of notes, for example, like up there, that's where I try to just cut right through them, and that's where the explanation of like a lot of times on arpeggio is just a slowed down strum. So if you're able to control your picking and just sort of rest the pick as you go through. And for those watching on horizontal, I'm on a close-up cam right now. On vertical, sorry, this is the one shot for it. But the idea is that to have nice, steady, kind of consistent picking, I tend to do the up and down so that I can kind of have, if I need to go faster, which would be tougher to do that if I was doing down, down, down. But that's one of those things that if you really prefer the sound and the feel of, like, let's say downstrokes or upstrokes, it'll depend on the tempo. So if the tempo is nice and slow, you could do upstrokes for all of those. But the moment that it clicks to a certain speed, that's when you got to be able to do the alternating. So go with what's comfortable, but also make sure you're not leaving yourself limited to only being able to playing it at a super slow speed or something like that. And yeah, the sooner that you can get comfortable with alternate picking, whether it's with arpeggios or just in general, you can just start by practicing on one string. It's really going to allow you to just like free up more ideas on the fly, because it won't feel like you're suddenly like trying to run with your shoelaces tied together, which can sometimes happen if it's like when people just play with one style, they don't realize that they're kind of narrowing their range of tempos they can play at. Let's try this now. We're going to try to incorporate this into the whole progression. And I hope you're having a good time. This is all stuff that we've been working on this week in my community. We have an amazing, thriving community. We're cruising towards 1,000 members. We're about to crest the 900 member mark, which is amazing. That was a goal that I set on my vision board probably 2 years ago. I'd be like, if I could just get 1,000 people to believe in me and to most of all, believe in themselves. That's what I want. So come check it out. It's guitarworkoutoftheday.com. I always offer a 2-week free trial. But that said, if people are like, I want to start today and I want to do the quarterly plan, there's a $87 per every 3 months quarterly plan. That charges you on day one. So sometimes people get in, they're like, hey, you charge me. It's like, no. That you get 2 weeks free. If you're checking out the annual plan, you can quit on day 13.5 and you won't be charged a dime. It's super duper worth it and it's a better deal. But that's why I want you to have 2 weeks to see if it fits your rhythm. And then you're like, okay, so this comes out to about like $24 a month. Totally worth it. I can probably live without 10 Hulu and Peacock subscriptions. Maybe it's time to actually get better at guitar. This is going to be your year. So I encourage you to check it out if you're interested. With that said, now let's get into building some move this thing around the block. You got to move it around till you got it down. So we're going to be playing this on B minor for this actual progression. Okay, and I will redraw the major one. I'll try to put it in different colors. So this will get a little bit crazy with the coloration here. But remember, that's A. That's the 1, 3, 5, the major. And then I'm trusting you to be able to just move that down to the G. So I won't draw that out. You got to be able to now retain that information. So are you able to see that we've got, if I spell out the A, 1, 3, 5, and then we've got the top part of that. We're going to move that down to G. Everything I just played, down 2 frets. And now for the red and the blue, that's going to be B minor. We love that. Let's do it. Okay. Now we've got enough information to chew on. We're just going to play a bunch of really cool sequences, which I hope you're excited about because I am. This is where the music starts to be music. Here we go. 1. Starting on the slow one. Oh, actually, I got to change that. Sorry, because I've been shortening the progression through the power of Ableton Live. Who has a audio software that they really love? I think somebody was recently using Reaper, James Guy, in our community. I've used them all, not all of them. I've used Pro Tools for years and years, way back when it was Pro Tools 3, when it was the very beginning era of it. And then Logic for a long time. Still use Logic a bunch, and Ableton has been what I use for all this kind of stuff. Okay, 1, 2, starting on A. Here we go. Let's rock it. I'm just going to keep playing simple chords. You decide your pattern. What combination of up and down? Making it punchy and staccato or having it all be connected? Combinations. How is that going? Describe it in one word. If you could describe it in one word, tell us how it's going. Are you still watching over there on the Facebook, or did you get swept up in doom scrolling? Maybe guitar can be the ray of light that keeps you on the right side of the road this year. Maybe I can airlift some people out of the just the toxic brine that is daily life, and to just trick you into playing a little bit of something simple on the guitar. Is that my master plan? Who can tell? But it is. I think you'll have a good time. B minor rocket, love it, Max. There's another Max, not to be confused with Max, the golden ticket winner in recent events. Awesome, working, moving, working faster. Me and my lady, we were doing some like sort of lymphatic and qigong exercises. Basically those exercises that you see the old ladies in the park like slapping their arms. It's so good. You do about a minute each of these different movements. You feel great. And we were listening to Daft Punk, like work it stronger, faster. It's a good groove. And coffee helps too to get you moving. But yeah, I released, I don't have them in hand. I should be talking more about them because I'm going to do a big batch of these triads playing cards that I created. Fretzo is what it's called. And I sent out a batch to just the early adopters within my community. There was a batch of like maybe about 75 or 80, and those that snatched them up had a chance to open it up and find a golden ticket, like Willy Wonka style. And Max was the lucky winner who opened it up, and dutifully he took a picture of himself getting it, so everyone got the announcement like, duh! They were not the winners, but Max is, and Max got to get a bunch of one-to-one lessons with me. But everyone's a winner for getting these Fretzo Triads cards. They're amazing. You can play games with them like Solitaire, and you can even play Gin, the equivalent of that, but with cards that help you memorize where the triads are. It's really friggin' great, and I think people are going to love it, so I'm going to roll it out to the mass market ASAP. I just got to figure out how to ship it, because it's really tricky to ship just about anything when you have international clients. And so I sent everything out in this first batch, just like licking stamps and going to the post office, and fingers crossed they get to people. I heard that one of our members in Australia just got the first ever arrival of the Fretzo Triads cards over there. So that's exciting. We did get across. We got through the dingoes and they let it into the country. For now, we'll see. Thanks, Michael B. Yeah, I mean, they were fun to design. And by the way, I need to talk to my Fretzo founders and sort of talk shop and see what could we add or tweak or make better or change about it, because that's the whole idea. We want it to be really, really good. ShipStation, yeah, Max saying that. That was one of the ones I researched. I'm trying to look into it. The big decider, I think, is like if you can get a bulk, like a batch of the stock of the product to the continent, get it through customs, and then you can ship from there. And I think ShipStation's one of the ones that can do that. So I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. But I am open to any advice and stuff, because, you know, otherwise you just get creamed on the shipping, and it's like, well, we lost money on it, but everyone's happy. I don't want to be that. But so there's no Fretzo decks left right now, but I'll keep if you're on the mailing list or anything, there'll definitely be updates about it, because this first run was just the tester batch. And so it's kind of like sold out for the time being. But I want to come back with full gusto. They made their way to Maine. I love it. All right, well, I'm going to move quicker now, and I don't want you to get spooked out, but I'm just going to fly through a bit of, like, we've gone nice and slow and sort of properly sort of built the foundation of the understanding. What we have now is a major arpeggio recipe and a minor arpeggio recipe. But just to show you that, like, what I've been working on this week, because this got me excited to dive back into arpeggios, was like, oh man, they're so satisfying. They get your brain to relax if you allow yourself to play through these a few times. And like I said to my members, we have the backing tracks and the jam tracks. And in fact, if you're not a member, I just realized all of the jam tracks that I've created are part of the free tabs and backing tracks and lessons. So if you're like, I'm not sure about this guy, even though he offers 2 weeks free, I want to see if I can snatch some free snacks from him. I did create a page devoted to that. And I think the link is in the description, where you can go grab the free tabs and lessons. And in there is a whole treasure trove of jam tracks, including what we're jamming along to right now, which can give you a chance to just run these so that they can be automatic. So I'll hit play now on this backing track, and this is just a faster version of what we're playing, which you got to be able to do, right? exact same things we were doing, but keep up with the tempo. And hey, if you start to lose the groove, make it even simpler. So if you're like, and you start dropping the groove, dumb it down, make it nice and simple. So maybe that's all you're doing, and that's great. Get the quickie version of how would I do this on the 5th string. Let's just quickly create these shapes because they're going to look very similar to, again, the things you already know. That is the power of taking shapes and moving them around, is that you'll start to see, oh, okay, so like I've already figured out how to play this shape. So here I am drawing something that should look almost identical. It's just 1 string higher, meaning we went from the 6th string to the 5th string. What is this arpeggio? What have I just outlined there? It's going to be a different chord progression, but boy, oh boy, is it going to look similar in many ways. So what have I just outlined right there on the old iPad? What do we got, gang? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? I've started getting back into just having drum samples. Be like, this is my waiting around for someone to tell me what chord I just put up on the board music. Chris, I'm here. Don't talk about me like I'm not here. Why are you turning your back to the stage and talking to the audience? Why do you think I'm not going to get there? What do you think we do? Do you think we just start on the top floor? No, we've taken a nice tour of the lobby. We've checked out the fitness center. We've checked out the business center, and the toner is full on the printer. And now we might move up. Boy, oh boy. It's glad to see you, though. We've got a D major. Listen to that. We got the drums connected to this MIDI guitar. I love it. Check this out. I've been bit by the love bat, and it's driving me mad. So what we've got is the same progression, but starting on D. So we're going to go D to C, up to E minor, and then D. Bada bang, bada boom. How about that? Here we go. 1. And this is nice and chill. And now this shape right here for the E minor is again going to look very similar to what we had based off of the 6th string. So remind yourself that these shapes are going to be hovering around that bar chord shape. Same thing, 2 frets lower. That bar chord shape. Great. So now we've got the same progression, a little bit faster. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and we dig it. Now D. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. So you can run with that. And especially for the people that have been rocking this throughout the week, I think now you can see like, oh, like, cool. Here's another reason why triads and finding triads. It's one thing to be able to spot them, which is great, so that you're familiar with the shapes. But to be able to navigate these kind of funky transitions of like, how do I hold this shape? Okay. And when would I need to be ready to hold that? It's like, well, if I'm launching from this triad or this arpeggio movement right here, I got to somehow be able to kind of, and you might not always stick that landing, right? Crispy Chris, it's great. I'm glad you're starting up a conversation. Sometimes I when I look at the comments, I'm just trying to make sure like people aren't getting lost, and then and I want the process to be trusted. That there's always a level of information that I think is optimal to sort of roll out, and hopefully that just sets the hook for people to be curious to keep going. So you got the right idea as far as like where might this lead. So this is definitely going to lead us into feeling more comfortable when someone says, okay, now we're going to do a dominant 7 arpeggio. And if I can then say like, okay, wait, before we freak out, remember when we did the major arpeggio? Well, what if we just added one note to that? Then it can be this sort of foundation of like, oh, okay, I could do that. Well, then I could do that plus one idea, which is in essence, my whole thing is like, hey, on day 1 of the workout with the arpeggios, we just basically got through that. Maybe by day 3, we were getting into this. And then on day 4, we sure enough got into like the Buddha, which again is not, once you learn that information, that's not the same as getting your hands to know it. So just trust that like, you might gobble up a YouTube lesson, or you might even have a week of workouts with me where you're like, okay, I think I understand it in my head, but my hands can't do it yet. That's how it should feel. Frankly, it should be like, okay, now you know what you should be weaving into your practice for like the next couple weeks or couple months. And that's the quiet, the elephant in the room for most people is like, we being like me and anyone who enjoys teaching and has a level of experience with like, okay, how would I convey this to someone who's at a beginner or intermediate level? Okay, I would start with this much information so that they get at least excited enough to be like, oh, what if I wanted to add sprinkles on top? It's like, well, funny you should ask. Here are the sprinkles now that you have the cake. Because when people ignore or try to outrun the fact that once you get hooked on an idea, then you can settle in for the long ride of like, oh, I'll be working on this for months, if not years. Because that's usually what scares people off. They think, well, I don't have time, like quote unquote, I don't have time for this, that, or the other. So what I'll do is that I'll do a sampler platter of caged and then triads and pentatonic. And YouTube is really good at being real hypey to say like, oh, in 5 minutes, I'll show you everything you know, blah, blah, blah. You won't get it. You might get a flyby of the information, but what you really need to do is get hooked on the idea that you enjoy the process. And then you can just take the scenic route, because that's the only route there is like take your time with enjoying the slow layering of this stuff. Because if you like music and you like guitar and you're not going to quit on yourself, you'll be doing this for the rest of your days. Trust me. We all, hopefully, knock on wood, are going to get to keep playing guitar. And so if you're just moving in the next piece of the next scoop of new information, it's satisfying as heck to be like, oh yeah, I'm chipping away. I'm doing my Bob Ross. Here's a nice little tree. And then I added another little move to it. It's satisfying. So with that, let's try to add another layer. And if I've already given you way more to fill up your plate, that's fine. Never think that when I'm adding more information, I'm trying to say you should know all this by now. Let it flow over you right now. If you're like, I'm maxed out, coach, you lost me at C sharp. That's fine. But for those of us that are like, all right, I think I get it. How would I do this as dominant 7s, major 7s, and minor 7s and all that? Well, let's do it. Let's build it on one particular chord. And again, you have those backing tracks that I was just playing for you. If you want to check those out, they're awesome and they can help keep you in the groove. But now I'm going to try to just take simply, I think this will just loop A. And it's not playing, that bass line isn't playing anything other than a root, a fifth, and an octave, which gives us nice ambiguity because we can build any flavor of chord over that, essentially, within reason, right? So here's our A major that we started off the day with. Who can tell me what would I do to turn this into an A major 7 chord? Krishna got questions. Oh, the D, C, E minor was also played on the 6th string root like A. Hey, thanks, guitar bro. That's your screen name at least. I'm glad you're having a good time. Yeah, the E minor was on the 5th string as well. Yeah, I put them all on the 5th string for that second one. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so what I'm going to add to this then is simply a major 7. You can put one right there. And I'll keep the colors consistent here now. So now that we know that's what that looks like all the way up. Let's try this out. So I'm going to start here on the root and I'll walk my way up. Now I need to add that to the equation. Okay, so that's your major 7, and all we did is that we added one note to our recipe. So we went from having the 1, the 3, and the 5 to now having the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. And in this particular case, it's going to be A, C sharp, E, and G sharp. It's a major 7. So to be clear, that's a major 7. This is a major 3rd. That's what we're doing there. That's what that is. That's that recipe. Now, tell me, what would I do to this exact set of notes to turn it into just an A7? So instead of an A major 7, which sometimes is written as a triangle or a triangle 7 or as a major 7, how would I make this just written as A7? Who's got me on this? Who can help me out with this? What would I change? What note would I change and how would I change it? Bada bing, bada boom. Anybody got to drop 7 down 1 fret? Okay, let's go with that. So we're going to drop this major 7 and turn it into a minor 7, which most commonly is referred to as a flat 7. And instead of a G sharp, we need a G. Everything else stays exactly the same. How cool is that? So while we're in the room, the radio diary. Watching one leg drop, new jack droop. This is another one of those things where I could go down here, and that's not wrong, but it might be more comfortable to play it right there to stay in this position right here. And I'll even put this one down here because I think you will kind of slide down there. Now check out this sound. Maybe you can start to hear as I noodle around and sort of like go up and come down and play with some different rhythms. This sets you up to play things that sound like soloing because you're hitting chord tones. And it's not a huge stretch from there once you get this dialed in to play some in-between notes. Put some like articulations in there and you're suddenly moving with the changes. So rather than always thinking you have to be told or have to like sort of get out the sort of reading glasses and be like, what scale am I in? What key am I in? What mode am I in? And rather than thinking you have to play every single note and show the audience that you can play all the notes of the scale, you could just be leapfrogging from chord tone to chord tone. And then sure, you can fill in the information of the scale. But to have that basic architecture of hitting nothing but net, nothing but chord tones, will get you really sounding like you're moving with the chords, which is a lot of what people want to do to sound like they're not getting left behind when the chords move. Okay, what would I do to this now for our third flavor of this particular workout, how would I make this A minor 7? I would have to change one note, once again, one note and only one note to turn this into an A minor 7. What would I do? How would I do it? What would I do? Half step on the C. Okay, flat the third. Okay, all right, we're getting it. We're getting the pieces of the recipe there. People are saying it in different ways, and I like it. So we would make this C sharp a C, and that would now make this a minor third or a flat third. I'm going to just do the flat symbol there. And now this will be, I'll squeeze in a lowercase m there. Love it. Okay, so we've got the flat 7 where we want it. Let's just sort of highlight that we're moving this, and we'll turn it into like that honey mustard. And this again is that same thing that we did before. Like if I could play it down there, and that sort of creates an interesting, that's an approach to have sort of like a, almost like a diagonal pentatonic thing. But I think for the sake of what we're doing here, to keep it a little bit more contained, I'll do that. And I might just sort of like do away with that flat 7 down there for now, because you can see, bada boom, bada bang. For $1 million, no golden ticket, but for $1 million per $10, tell me what is the only note that is missing now from our A minor pentatonic. Now that we have the full A minor 7 arpeggio in this position, what note do we not have? It's the one tooth that's missing, which is just to reassure you that like we've got like familiarity with this, I would imagine. Yeah, the fourth, that'd be the D, right? So we don't have that note, c'est la vie, which is yet another reminder as to like, if we're vamping on this A, you can almost treat it like you're basically playing your favorite scale, everyone's favorite scale. And you can then kind of, so if I were to just play the chord tones, it would sound like this. Now if I work in some blues licks using the full scale, it's a different feeling. And then back to arpeggio mode. But it's just going to get you that much more fluid and comfortable with like approaching things from different parts of your brain, so that, you know, if the chords move, if suddenly it goes up to D minor, you kind of take a bunch of those notes with you, and again, you're hitting chord tones. It's great. It's tasty. So let's try seeing if we could take this full chord progression again. Oh, that's the Facebook. That's the Facebook. And let me see if I can undo these steps. So now we're going to have, I think we're going to work our way back to having the full progression. And how we're going to do it now is we're going to spice up these chord changes. So they're going to now be, and if you got this, you got this. If you don't, just have a blast playing the original ones that we were playing at the top of the broadcast. We're going to go A7, then we're going to go G major 7, then we're going to go B minor 7, and then back to A7. Okay? So what that will sound like, more or less, glad to have you. Jones, glad to have everybody here. I hope you arpeggio into the new year with much gusto, and I hope you've had fun on this stream. If you want to check out more of what we do, the links are all around. GuitarWorkoutOfTheDay.com is where you find all the info on how to start your free trial, 14 days. We have over 600 workouts that you can search through as if you're searching Google. If it had a brain for guitar, you can pull up all the previous replays. So this past week, we did a whole week of workouts. Each night we went live for about 20 or 30 minutes. I could answer questions live just like this. We took this piece by piece. So this is the whole enchilada. It's a lot, right? But imagine just showing up each night, knowing exactly what to practice, staying on a theme, knowing that it's taught by a coach who, I don't know everything, but the things I know I use all the time. So I'm always teaching things that are going to be getting into your musical diet and taking that off your brain. One less thing to worry about. But we've covered, as you can imagine, triads and pentatonics and shell chords and acoustic finger picking and how to jam with other people over Zoom and how to build your own practice routine. And we've dedicated entire weeks to those themes. And like I said, you can search through those within our community. The app is great. The people are great. You can track your minutes each week. And that's a lot of fun people have when they sort of get into like good-natured competition where they're like, all right, who can get the most minutes each week? I'll show you a little bit of what the community looks like on the inside. Because if you've come this far, I think you know that this is going to be something that is not like the other average lessons out there. This is alive. This is real people. This is what you see when you first come in. And then the practice tools area, this is where you can track your minutes. We have the current leaderboard up there. Ray clocking some serious minutes, and it tracks how many days that you've had 30 minutes or more. It's totally up to you. It's an honor system, but that's fun. Just for bragging rights at the end of the week, and then it resets each week. These are the jam tracks, and like I said, you go all the way down here. You've got, this is from our GWADs this week, GWADs 585, and we're up to 590, and there's a bunch of other ones. I have a guided path of lessons called the Month to Mastery for people that want to get in and just be told exactly what to do every day for 30 days. These are awesome. All these little lessons build on each other. So you learn a song, an original song, so you're not just learning Smoke on the Water. I lay it out really simple, and then we layer the ideas. You get prompted to post your videos, and whenever you post a video, I'll see it, so I'll give you a little encouragement. These are the backing tracks, as well as these handy PDFs, an entire workbook that has like 70-some pages. You hit the tab, you got that incredibly laid out magical tab where you can loop things and zero in on different sections of it, and that's all within the Month to Mastery. That's like my go-to course for people that come in. And like I said, we've got these workouts here. We've had like a million bajillion of these, and you can just scroll through them. We do Friday Zoom hangs, Ask Me Anything. That's your chance to share. The Dare to Share section, that's where our main man Mike just won. But look at all these great people posting videos and just rocking it, daring and sharing and braving it. It's a hoot, if I may say so. And once again, you can check it all out. 14 days totally free. I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend. And let me know if you need anything. We'll see you around, gang. And this is a little farewell photo of Lolly. Sweetie Bobidi. What a gal. What a lady. We miss her. We love her. Stoopa doop boop, yeah.